Last week, we discussed what scientists mean when they say that something exists. To summarize it briefly, something exists if it is useful to explain observations. And this makes, most importantly, no statement about what is real or true, which is a question for philosophers, not for scientists. I then asked you to tell me whether you think that I exist, because sometimes I'm not so sure. Many of you submitted great answers to my existential question. I want to pick two of those as examples to illustrate some key points. Fernando wrote in a comment here on YouTube, "When I say that chair exists, I'm also fitting the data collected with my senses with my internal conceptions of a chair. I think that the same is true when I see a two-dimensional representation of Sabine on my computer screen and say that Sabine exists." As he says correctly, he's really just trying to create a model to explain his sensory input, and I'm part of a model that works well. Therefore, he says, I exist. And Dr. Castaldo wrote in a comment on my blog, "I believe a single human exists that appears in videos and photographs and authors these blog posts, tweets and answers to commentary. I am aware of no other plausible, to me, explanation for those artifacts and their consistency." The important part of this comment is that he emphasizes the explanation that I exist is plausible, not certain, and it is plausible to him personally. In the comments on my blog, you then find some exchange about whether it is possible that my videos are generated by an artificial intelligence and I do not exist. For all you know, that is possible. But even with the most advanced software presently available, it would be a challenge to fake me. At the very least, making me up would be a lot of effort for no good reason. Possible, yes, but not plausible. The simplest explanation is what most of you probably believe, that I am a human being, not unlike yourself, in an apartment, not unlike your own, with a camera and a laptop, not unlike your own, and so on. And simple explanations are the most useful ones in a computational sense, so these are the ones scientists go with. The important points here are the following. First, explaining sensory input is all you ever do. You collect data with your senses and try to create a consistent model of the world that explains this data. Even scientists and their papers are just sensory input that you use to create a model of the world. Second, confidence in existence is gradual. The only reliable statements about what exists are based on models that you use to explain observations. But the confidence you have in these models depends on what data you have, and therefore it can gradually increase or decrease. The more videos you watch of me, the more confident you will be that I exist. It's not either or, it's maybe or probably. The thing you can be most confident exists is yourself, because you cannot explain anything unless there is a you to explain something. Data about yourself is the most immediate. That's a complicated way of rephrasing what Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Third, how confident you are that something exists depends on your personal history. It depends on your experience and your knowledge. If we have met and I shook your hand, you will be much more confident that I exist. Why? Because you only know of one way to create this sensory input. If you merely see me on a screen, you also have to use knowledge about how your screen works, how the internet works, and what's the current status of artificial intelligence, and so on. It's a more difficult analysis of the data, and you will end up with a lower confidence. And this is why science communication is so important. Because someone who does not understand how scientists infer the existence of, say, the Higgs boson from data, and also does not understand how science itself works, will end up with a low confidence that the Higgs boson exists, and they will begin to question the use of science in general. Having settled the question of my own existence, here's the next homework assignment. Does God exist? Let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe.